Hello and welcome back to another week of Willow Talk. Adam Peacock here alongside Alyssa Healy once more.
Hi.
Incumbency counts for a lot. Heels, you get the first intro because you were here last week.
I did wonder, that was a misread on your part, but I'm in good health, unlike
misread.
the other one.
Bradley Haddin, welcome back to the studio. What happened?
Had a big Saturday at my local with my mates before I went overseas, and I didn't recover to now. That was 8 days ago.
9 day recovery.
It was good afternoon.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Haven't you fallen off a cliff?
Yeah, you're old.
I did fall off a cliff. It's a good day. Back to a couple of winners. Solved the problems of the world.
It was 9 days ago.
Everyone had a Willow Talk hat on. I'll show you that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't able to back up for work by 5 days.
Someone doesn't have a Willow Talk hat on today. Well, a few of us, but you
He's
in
still-
particular.
He still hasn't given me one either.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Willow Talk
I
hat.
haven't.
There you go.
He promises
go.
me one every week.
Oh, shit. I'll get
Right
it.
there.
Yeah.
There's one for you right there. You got a Canberra Raiders hat. For our listeners not watching on YouTube, you got a Canberra Raiders hat on because in the last 48 hours,
We're getting ready for grand final day.
the Milk went to Vegas and started the season in style against the New Zealand. Was that extra special for you that you beat a Kiwi team as well
I
on
was
the
late
world
down to
stage?
see. They don't turn up. Especially they don't travel well. Mate, I've got my grand final ticket booked.
Oh, you're an idiot.
What do you mean?
Early crow. Early crow.
Heard it here first.
Yes. Anyway, it's been a big weekend.
We've gone from golf podcast last week to rugby league podcast
Rugby
this
league
week.
was
So
good.
Oh, it went
there's
down.
still some cricket on.
What happened with the golf? Who would win out of you two?
Huh?
You'd sledge
Depends
you.
on the day.
He'd go to water.
Depends on the day.
You would. I saw him on every different fairway, but he saw me stuck in a bunker, so it's
Yeah.
even Stevens.
What'd you have on that hole, by the way?
Rude.
Do you reckon he'd be one where he's just about to go, so why have you changed your hands? And I reckon he'd be no good for the rest of the day.
I actually just think you'd go, ooh, there's a bit of water on the left. You'd go, way right.
We are a cricket podcast, so let's talk about some cricket, shall we? On Willow Talk this week, we're going to preview the upcoming Champions Trophy semi-finals between Australia and India. Australia got there despite the rain, and South Africa and New Zealand. Who picked that?
I think it might have been the person without a hat on.
Yes, well done. Who didn't pick that?
That guy over there.
I thought we only picked the final.
No, we hadn't. We picked the semi-finalists, and you picked some
remember.
rogue people to get out of the group.
But also,
Well, you're going to be wrong there because you said Australia-India are going to play the final.
Yeah, and they're playing one another.
They're playing the
this
semi.
is the final everyone wants.
Calm down. You had England and Bangladesh as the other semi-finalists.
Yeah, that didn't work. I also had Pakistan not to win a game.
Yes,
That
well
was
done.
true.
Correct.
So
Yep, didn't waste your tokens there, either of you, if you missed that
I
episode.
don't get
of
a
the
token
handing
because I'm
out
still
tokens.
confused on how that works.
Now we're going to look at a weekend of domestic one-day finals where South Australia and New South Wales won their respective finals. And later on, we're going to chat to a good friend of the show, Ryan Harris, who's in charge of the Sackers men's, about the win over the weekend over Victoria. It was a weekend of rivalries, so the Sackers beat Victoria. What are you worried about?
I'm going to throw in an apology.
What?
I've toured for 15 years with Ryan Harris, and every game was like he'd won the World Cup if we'd won. And there's a bit of story about Burswood Casino. We'll get into that after an Ashes win, but if he's not on, I apologise to our listeners because he could still be partying.
I take him as a man of his word, so I think he's going to
He's a man of his word,
Okay.
but let's not judge what comes out of his mouth till we have a really good look at him. He's one of the best celebrators.
And we've got one of the great prayers over here as well, because last night on the group chat, watching New South Wales and Queensland, or 2 nights ago, I should say, at Allan Border Field in the final of the Women's One Day Trophy,
Somebody was listening.
somebody was,
Yep.
Queensland were 2 down, and Healy started just, to the heavens, please help us.
I
never
just
know
said,
what happened.
We need to pray for some wickets. And then next minute, wickets fell. And then,
At great
and then-
regularity.
yeah, the last one was like, I think we need to do some extra playing to get Georgia Redmayne out. And
Oh, yeah. What about
someone
that?
delivered
Yes.
upstairs.
Yeah.
Downstairs, probably downstairs. That's where I'm going.
That wasn't-
But anyway, like, wowee.
That wasn't. That wasn't on the bingo card when.
No way.
Yeah, that was all evolving. Poor old Georgia Redmayne.
You got to take them when you get them.
Yeah, true. Well, so we'll discuss. Unlucky, I would say, dismissals a bit later on the podcast.
It's not unlucky. Keep it on the ground.
Stay in your crease.
Stay in your crease.
Stay in your crease. Don't. What do? Don't back up or stay or back up.
Depends who's batting.
She's been a good cricketer. I would have thought.
Depends on who you're batting with.
Yep.
Okay.
Shane Watson, never back up.
No. Annabelle Sutherland, keep your bat in the crease.
Yep.
They play too straight.
Now we're going to look at Sundries as well, as it's the 3-year anniversary of Shane Warne's passing, but since then some amazing things have been done with his foundation and making it very aware, especially for the male part of the population, to get the hearts checked as well. So we'll reflect on that a bit later. Now, before we get into the show, a few things to run through. We've had a great summer here on Willow Talk, but we want to hear directly from you, the listener. In the episode notes is a link to a quick survey where you can tell us what you like about the show, what you think we can do better, what's complete crap, whether you like the merchandise, where you want live shows, where we're going to have these live shows. I don't know, Barbados seems like a good place to do our first ever live show.
Lords.
Just a thought. Are we
Championship.
allowed in there? Lords? Long room?
Oh, it'll be
Well, that's
aggressive.
aiming a bit high. We can start out the back.
Fair enough. And special guests, who do you want to see on the show? Let us know the whole lot. It's really important to help us improve the show and give you what you want. Complete the survey and go into the running. We're just not just going to ask you to do the survey and you get nothing for it. We've got this fine piece of willow right here. The iconic Grey Nick scoop. It's available as well. And we've got 5 Willow Talk trucker hats as well. You know what? I've got a few at home, thanks to Brad. He organised a few and still haven't paid you for that, by the way. Or did you give you that bottle of wine? Make it 10. We've got 10 Willow Talk trucker hats to hand out as well. Find the survey link in the episode notes and tell us what you think. Don't hold back.
Why don't you make it 11 so it's a cricket team?
Okay.
Yeah, I like that. I'm surprised we still have 11 left after the whole of Triple H now have Willow Talk hats.
You
ordered, yeah, exactly. You ordered 200 and 180 people at the Triple H got one the other
You're
day.
feel salty that you don't have one, correct?
No, I think I do have one.
You do. It's
yeah,
very
it's just that
solid.
Hads didn't give it to me.
I'll find some.
Yeah.
Probably because Mitch nicked them all.
No, Mitch has got the old one.
He's got the old one.
Yeah, that's
He's
his
got the
gardening hat.
OG.
Yeah.
Without the
In the
we've got the
bushes.
listener logo on them now.
Yeah.
Quick reminder to get us in touch with us on social media as well as the survey. Follow along at TikTok and Instagram at Willow Talk Podcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel here at Listener Sport. Hello, everyone, if you're doing that right now. Correspondence from Instagram. Scott said, greetings from the RCC Rockies Cricket Club in Colorado.
Oh.
Brad, Heels and Adam, you are welcome to join.
Yes.
And producer Sam and producer Joel.
So, no, he didn't say producer Joel, but like,
No, we'll throw Joel in. Absolutely.
Sam's
so
left, he's out.
so we're going Napa Valley to the Rockies.
Okay.
Willow Talk on tour.
That's got a ring to it.
You know, it's very legal in Colorado.
Beautiful scenery.
Skiing. Yeah.
Yeah. I can imagine that they're. And I think I've seen.
Going with that?
I think I've seen a photo of their cricket ground they play on, and it's one of the most beautiful cricket grounds in the world. So I think we should add that to the list.
I'll come out of retirement for that.
On our rundown, we've got it here. It's beautiful. Like, how can you have a bad view in the Rockies?
No, amazing.
Like a bad view
Let's
in
do it.
Queensland, New Zealand. So yeah, let's do it. We're getting a Willow Talk World Tour together. Fair enough.
How would you be on tour?
Huh?
What sort of are you? Are you someone that everyone wants to go on it? If you're on a bloke's weekend away, will you sleep or will you go through the 3 days? Are you a good tourist?
Yeah, it's for me to know, for you to find out, Bradley.
I'd like to find out. That's
Yeah,
it. I'd like to find out. I
Yeah,
think you'd be a good roommate.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm not rooming with you two.
No.
So
I wouldn't. I can't sleep.
I'll just have to worry about that occasional flatulence problem, Bradley, to be a good roommate. But
You got
hopefully,
a problem there?
no, just when I eat certain foods. But anyway, that's not important right now. I'll be good fun for you. I can promise you.
Oh, yeah?
I can promise you that, mate. I've got 4 kids. What do you reckon I'm like when I go away?
Sleep. That's what I think I'd do. I think I'd be sitting in the corner of the bar by myself.
Matthew said, "Hi guys, big fan of the podcast. Was never really a podcast guy, but I quickly became obsessed with the quality chat you all have, both comical and technical. Being a keeper myself, the insights I get from listening to Hads and Heels is amazing. Being a pob who was keen on a truck hat, I was wondering how I go about getting some merch. Thanks again for the top quality pod. Keep it real." Episode notes, I guess, about I don't know how they get. Have we got a merch store?
Joel sorted.
I think it's I think
Send a
that's
message to
coming.
Joel. He'll get you one.
Yeah.
You'll turn up at Triple H on a Saturday, and Hads will give
It
you
was
one.
Sporties, actually.
Oh, sorry.
Leave us a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Let's try to get to 250 before the Champions Trophy is over. We are on 246
Well,
now.
we're creeping up there.
Yes. G1504 said, 250, here we come. The best podcast, full stop. Always great content. Guess before we even get onto the banter, exceptional. Never miss an episode, and have started to watch on YouTube with my cricket tragic son. Hello, cricket tragic son. Hads, what are your thoughts on Andrew Sainsbury as a grade cricketer? Keep up the great work, folks.
One of my first captains at Northern Districts, Master Splinter.
Pardon? Master Splinter.
Master Splinter.
Okay.
Mate, very good left-hand bat, couple of games for New South Wales.
Back you go. You can't just throw out the nickname there and then not go into the story.
I can't give it up.
Why?
Can't give it up. Very good captain.
What are you, a stonemason? What's wrong with you?
We had a very good time. This is a thing that's on tour that you wouldn't be very good at.
What? Keeping stories on tour. Okay.
This podcast gets weirder every week.
Are you copying that?
What? Some stories can't be told.
Okay.
I was a little bit disappointed that he just said he was going to be sitting at the bar by himself, and I'm like, where the hell am I? Am I not coming?
Shout out.
You know exactly where I'll be.
Shout out to Master Splinter.
Your card will be there, actually.
Yeah. I think it's that. Atlee99 said, great golf and wine podcast. If not one of the best insights in the world in domestic cricket, with a great mix of humour and serious takes, even broaches on golf and wine tours. Only downside is hard to get the merch. Can never have enough keepers. Samo Fish said, big fan of the Willow Talk cricket podcast. Only cricket one of the only ones I don't miss an episode of. Love Brad's stories from his cricketing years, his insights and knowledge. Heels has a fabulous quick wit and even smarter cricket brain. The banter between the keepers is first rate, and Feathers is a fantastic commentator who has the best podcast job in the country, one of about 8. Fantastic guests, 5 stars. And Sir Leslie Vernon to wrap up our shout outs. We love to just pump up our own tyres as we get into an episode each and every week. Liked your acknowledgement of the graders. Last episode, the Willow Talk is top-notch with dry humour. Heels is a key ingredient. Shame you can't get that marine biology qualification. Our win, the ocean's loss. I swear algorithms on these things are getting more and more detailed, because what pops up on my phone the other night after we were on the group chat bouncing messages around, the Seinfeld clip of George Costanza explaining his marine biology saviour.
Got tagged in it. I actually found it funny at 34. Oh, see, back in the day, I didn't find that as funny as what I do right now. I get it now. I understand it.
She was more Friends than Seinfeld.
I was a Friends gal. You were one or the other. I don't think my sense of humour had quite kicked in at that age,
now
so I didn't quite get it. Now I get it.
Where
now
were you at?
Seinfeld.
Yeah, exactly. Champions Trophy. Nothing funny about this, just more Australian glory potentially on the horizon after a second no result. 6 in 3 tournaments. Australia against Afghanistan. They have qualified for the semi-finals as second in the group. Afghanistan were in trouble at one stage. They eked out 270. We were on pace to crush the total and certainly get ahead if the rain came a bit later. 109 for 1. 1 for 109 off 12 overs. Travis Head was going Burko and Steve Smith looked comfortable. What do we make of this result? Do we pick apart the result even though it was a no result? Oh, sorry, the performance even though it was a no result? Is there enough there to kind of have a look at?
Not really. It's hard to sort of say how anyone really went or was going to go, but I guess probably the win for us is that the bowlers got a good hit out before a semi-final against India. That would probably be the only thing I'd take away from it, and the point to get us through.
I think the only thing you really need to look at the game is that we got into the semi-final. We've won one game, and now it's a shootout. India got things in their favour. Having a look at that game a couple of nights back, that there is no grass on that square at Dubai, so it's going to be a lot different there. But it's effectively a shootout. I think Steve Smith's done well. I've been impressed with the way he's captain. We've seen Short, he's out. I think it's a big loss, and Heels, I don't know where they go from there. Do you bring Cooper Connolly back in to give you some spin, or do you play young Jake Fraser-McGurk straight away to get you that X factor at the top? But we're where we want to be.
On that comment, I think you go like for like and you bring Fraser-McGurk straight back in at the top of the order. I wouldn't want to muddle with the middle order too much. I think at the moment they're all settled, all quite good players of spin, which is exactly what we're going to need against India in a semi-final in Dubai. So why not give him another crack at the top? So go out there, take on the new ball. It's going to be technically the easiest time to bat, right? So go out there, take it on like Short did, and set the game up for the middle order.
Ben Dorsh's 3 wickets again. What do you make of his adjustment to a regular place in the Australian side at the moment?
I actually really like this story. He's had a horrible run with injury, probably for the best part of 10 years. He came into the New South Wales squad when I was there. He was a great athlete. He was powerful, but he just hasn't been able to get his body right. So the one thing I think he's done really well over the last couple of years, he started to play a bit of franchise cricket, probably harden his body up a bit, and he was impressive. And the impressive thing about it is he started to swing the ball. He looks like now he believes he should be at that level. And I've said this a number of times. I like when these guys play without the big three quicks there. That's when you really see what their character's like. And at the moment, he's standing up when he has to. So, mate, well done. Great story.
Well, it's a nice change to Spencer Johnson, who you know what role he's going to play. He's going to come out, swing the ball early, look to take early wickets. I mean, the wicket of Gurbaz is exactly what you want from your left arm opening bowler, but Dwarshuis's skill is in his variations and his change-ups, which he's refined in the T20 game, and how useful it is over in those conditions in the one-day game through the middle periods and at the death as well. And his late order power hitting is also really useful. So, yeah, you're right. I think seeing these guys get a crack has been awesome.
So, Australia play India tonight in Dubai. And as you mentioned, the squares looking as bare as the back of my head, which is bare. So, you weren't here last week when you were recovering from your little train smash episode at the pub the week before.
It wasn't a train smash.
Well, you were gone for 9 days. I would dare say that it's along those lines. Heels was discussing, we were talking about the World Cup match with Mitch last week 10 years ago, Eden Park, how he was saying what a crazy game it was because the ball just stayed together because it was literally drop-in wicket and everything else was lush. Yeah. This is the total opposite. Yeah. So how do you approach, especially divvying up your bowling, rotating your bowling, what's going to work, what's not going to work with the ball in those conditions? Well,
first thing, you only have to look at what India did against New Zealand. They went in with 4 frontline spinners. Hardik Pandya opened the bowling. I think 9 of the wickets were all spin. So it's not going to be a shock to the Australians what the surface is going to do. And having a look at that game, and we can talk about it, but India, in the unique position, they've played every game at the same venue. There is no grass on the square. It is dry. It suits India. And I just think all the pressure's on them. They've got it set up. They're playing great cricket, but it's a one-off shootout. Australia pride themselves on making sure their tournament plays spot on. And this is one of those games. And I don't think there's any pressure on the Australians at all. They've had it all their own way. And I can see, I don't know whether it's an upset, but I can see Australia beating India in these conditions. And I hope so, especially for where the tournament's been and how it's been spread out to suit one team. So, yeah, I hope the Australians win.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be really tricky. They've got to adapt really quickly to the conditions are seemingly more different in Dubai than what they've been playing, and a bit of rain's lingered around in their side of the draw as well. So it's not going to be easy. I think you're right. I think not necessarily the pressure's on India or anything like that, but I think Australia have nothing to lose, and I think that's kind of a nice place for an Aussie team to be. The underdog in that situation. It's a nice place to be.
Yeah, I think the pressure is on India. I think there's a lot of pressure on India with the way they've played their cricket since Gautam Gambhir is taken over. They probably haven't had the success or the style of game that's really been that attractive for the last 6 months. So I think the pressure is right on India to make a final, and I think if they don't make a final, there'll be a big reaction off the back of that because they've got things in their favour. The conditions are definitely going to be the one thing in Australians' favour is they've come from Sri Lanka, they've trained in Dubai leading into that, so it won't be foreign. It'll just be interesting how the makeup of their team. Do you stay with those 3 fast bowlers who've done a great job, or do you bring Tanvi Sangha in, another leg spinner? Like Cooper Connolly actually might be a genuine chance to play and bat in the middle order, bowl a few left arm orthodox, because Matt Short, he was outstanding the other night. He bowled 7 overs for 20.
Yeah.
So to have that versatility, it'll be interesting to see the makeup of the team. But I don't think there's any pressure on the Australians.
Yeah, you're right. And India.
We'll get to England.
Yeah, England.
One too excited.
One token over there. India have shown a little bit of susceptibility to spin as well in the last little period in their home conditions as well. So, yeah, what that makeup's going to look like, I'm not sure. I'd like to see the extra spinner come in, but I don't want to see it at the detriment of a batter. I think we're going to need all the batting we can get. So that's where I think a batter has to come in for Matt Short, but then it might be at the expense of a fast bowler to get the extra spin in, but we'll have to wait and see.
You look at that game against New Zealand, they were in strife, India. They were 3 down for not many. Virat, not many again, even though he has a century this Champions Trophy. But it was Shreyas Iyer, a guy that you're about to hang out with for a couple of months, had
to win the title.
But steadied things like okay, we'll put the handbrake on and we'll just steady right up and then eke out a respectable total. So they've got gears, India. How you stop those gears with that bowling lineup, I'm fascinated to see.
Well, what they did is reassess the conditions. They went hard at the top, and there's actually a little bit of seam movement for Henry. He got 5 wickets in the end, but they reassessed and said, okay, 250 is enough. If we get to 250 on this surface with the bowling attack we've got, it's going to be hard to chase down. But yeah, as I said, mate, it's all there for India. I think, as I said before, Australia got nothing to lose here.
Have we got the batting lineup to contend with 4 spinners and attack or play smart? Because what's key, Hills, when you're in conditions like that, is it to maintain aggression or is it to just keep the strike rolling over between overs, 15 and 40?
Well, I mean, you could approach it one of those 2 ways, but I think with the lineup we have, it's about building partnerships through the middle and eking out runs. We've got left and right hand combinations, which helps. And then you've got the power of Glenn Maxwell if we get ourselves in a decent position to kind of cash in at the back end. So I like the variation that we've got in our batting lineup that can offer us both of those. But if shit hits a fan early, we've got the guys to, like you said, that Shreyas Iyer just did against New Zealand, was like, okay, we're going to reassess, we're going to bring it back, we're going to knock 100 partnership, whatever it might be, and we're going to cash in at the back end again. So, yes, I think we've got the lineup to counteract that spin. It's not going to be easy. They bowl very well, very straight on a really hard length, and yes, you might have to take a few risks, but it's always the risk that that's going to go in your favour.
I think we've got the batting order to play really well against spin. That middle order's set up to control the tempo of their spinners. And that doesn't have to be a power game. That can be Steve Smith just picking off 1s and 2s, running hard. You've got a bit of craft there with Alex Carey. Josh Inglis is as good a spin player as we're seeing in this Australian team. I just think we've got a free hit at 1 and 2.
Yep.
Like, if 1 and 2 go off, and that's why, as you said with Jake Fraser-McGurk, if he goes off at the top with Travis Head, we could be 100 after 10 overs, and then all of a sudden the pressure's back on Indian spinners without having those attacking options. So we've got a free hit at 1 and 2, and Jake Fraser-McGurk played really well in these conditions in the IPL, so it might suit him.
Well, I also wonder if him opening with Travis Head will allow him to settle a little bit more. It seems like he's got first gear, sixth gear, and he doesn't quite know where the middle is at the moment. He's still learning his craft. But with Travis Head at the other end, potentially going run a ball even quicker than that, does that enable him an opportunity to just settle a little bit, calm himself down, knowing the other end scoring heavily, hopefully?
Yeah.
Maybe it might enable him.
So the other semi-final will be South Africa taking on New Zealand on Wednesday. And here is the ridiculous nature of how this tournament has panned out. And you've too intimated about it before, but I just can't get my head around a international standard tournament in any sport having a scenario where you get 2 teams fly to another country on the off chance that a certain result happens, so one of them has to stay and one of them has to go back to where the tournament is based. Yeah. It makes no sense. Why they didn't... Okay, we know the geopolitical scenario about why this is happening with India and why for the last few ICC tournaments there's been a fixed draw to suit Indian television because that's where all the money comes from. We get that. But how you can not have that India semi-final on Wednesday to then allow whoever's playing them to base themselves where they were and then travel makes no sense. Can you make sense of it? Am I barking up a wrong tree here?
No, you're barking up the right tree. I don't like it either, and I'll hesitate as to what we really think about it. But you're right. I think having that turnaround being so quick to force two teams to fly to Dubai. I mean, I feel for South Africa. The boys, they won't care about it. At the end of the day, they'll go, right, we're here to do a job. Let's just get on with it. But to make them fly to Dubai, then fly back to Pakistan to play that semi-final, they're probably now going to be on the same flight as New Zealand, back across there. It's not great in the professional landscape that we're currently in, the modern day game where, we're quite well looked after and things are done really thoughtfully. It's not an amazing look, but look, at the end of the day, we've got 4 amazing teams in the semis and they'll just get on with it and hopefully get the job done. Yeah,
they're a pretty relaxed bunch of people. International cricketers, it's just from the outside looking in, you probably get more angry about it than being in the inside because you just have to cop it as a player.
Well, you know the answer from the outside looking in. Yeah. We know why this scenario's there, but if I put my coach's hat on for South Africa, who cares? Like, at the start of the tournament, you know this is going to happen. So, you know the reasons, but South Africa also, at the back end of a tournament, get to spend a couple of days in Dubai, have some nice food, relax, get out and about.
Take the golf clubs.
Well, I mean, the Aussie boys were playing golf yesterday, which you'd guarantee that the South Africans were golfing as well, right?
Yeah. That means failure's coming if they're playing golf.
Yeah, that's right. So you're right. Yeah. There is an element of a couple of days of relaxing, and then once you get on the flight back to Pakistan, you switch on.
Well, you start your prep for the game. So they would have been sitting in their rooms in Pakistan. They would have been under huge security. They wouldn't have been able to do anything. They would be going from their rooms downstairs. Training at this time in the tournaments, it's just a top-up. They've done all the work that they need to do. They know the conditions. They know the opposition. So to have that couple of days is actually sometimes a really good freshen-up. Hop on a 4-hour flight, who cares? It's like going from here to Perth to play a game. So it's not ideal with the way the tournament's been set up, and we know that. India have been in the same venue for the whole time. They know the conditions. Their training facilities have got no one else there, basically. So they've had control of everything they needed to do. But that's the modern game. It's not the first time this has happened. But if I'm South Africa, I'm saying, you know what? Enjoy a couple of days in Dubai. Relax. Go out and get some sun. Go for a swim. And then we've got a semi-final and an opportunity to play in a final, which is pretty foreign to South Africa.
Might be in Pakistan. If Australia win the semi-final, final will be in Pakistan. If India win the final will be in Dubai. Quick predictions update just to refresh as well. Healy, 4 from 4 for the semi-finals.
Yep.
Haddin, 2 from 4. Had's had Bangladesh and England advancing, just to reiterate that.
I don't know if I am 2 from 4.
Well, you are, because neither of those teams are through, mate.
Well, I think England might be. They had 2 moral victories. So if I'm doing the maths, they've had 2 moral victories. That's enough points to go through to the semi. So it wasn't their fault that they lost.
Oh, right, yeah. The conditions did change quite drastically.
Well, there you go.
So, you know.
So I'm going to give myself 3 because England aren't out of it. If I listen to their presser, they're through.
I reckon when England are looking potentially for a new coach of their side, Haddin could be up for it. Delusional Brad Haddin.
Mate, delusional press conferences.
It's the same 4 teams as the last World Cup semis, by the way, as well.
Well, actually, I might be 4 from 4.
Here we go. What, Bangladesh somehow made it?
Well, let's get past that. I didn't even know that was there, but...
You said it.
You both had I can't remember that. All I can remember is... You had a go at me about Pakistan. I said they won't win a game, and you two, shot your mother.
I don't think we did either look at you that way. We wouldn't have been surprised. Yeah.
The eyebrow raise was the Bangladesh call. Yeah. That was the eyebrow raise.
I think that one just fell out of your mouth. You panicked and then just rolled with it.
And you tripped on the pavement.
Well, let's say then
the concrete,
I got the Pakistan one right. England are in the semis after listening to press conference. The rest of the world thinks the same as me. I got the Bangladesh one wrong.
Okay, fill in the blanks game because there's a few blanks happening up the top there for one Bradley Haddin at the moment. The final of the Champions Trophy will be
Australia.
taking on
South Africa.
Australia, New Zealand.
and will win.
Australia.
Australia.
With
No, I picked South Africa to win at the start.
being the player of the final.
Steve Smith.
Josh Inglis.
Joshua. Oh, well, English representation in the final.
Oh, there you go. Yes.
The player that impressed me the most in the tournament is?
Ben Dorcius.
I don't know yet. Oh, I can let you know at the end of it.
Okay.
So far.
Ask me next week.
The biggest disappointment of the Champions Trophy so far is?
Pakistan. Sorry.
England.
Ooh.
No, but that was always coming. I feel like Pakistan at home in a Champions Trophy, I would have loved to have seen them just do better.
That's an emotional decision. No way Pakistan, the way they've been playing their cricket.
I'll fill in this last blank
Yep.
because, yeah, it's just easier for me to fill in this last blank. India's treatment in the tournament has been
5-star.
5-star. I was going to say exactly that.
Predictable.
It's exactly that. But
Great
England.
for the game. Actually, great for the game. Everyone's happy.
So
Are you
England.
about to go to India?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
England. Josh Buttler has stepped down as captain of the white ball side. It hasn't started well for Brendan McCullum since he's taken on all roles on the men's side of things for English cricket. Does it bring into question the McCullum era?
No.
No?
No, I don't think it does because they've created this culture and this belief and this way that they want to play the game, that there's no accountability, there's no nothing, and they've got the guys in the team that basically they're saying, you go out there, you do what you do, and if you fail, we got you back. So they're in real strife at the moment in that you can't drop blokes because they're going out there playing the style that they want to play and not performing, so they're still in the side. I feel sorry for Josh Buttler more than anyone else. He's kind of taken that full on and probably taken it to heart a little bit that things haven't quite gone their way. But at the moment, I don't think you can move Brendan McCullum on either, because if you all of a sudden remove that coach who's basically setting that standard and that culture within the side, then what? What happens from there? It's almost going to be a new look team. It's very interesting to watch as an outsider. I feel there's a very small part of me as a human that feels really sorry for what's unfolding.
It feels like it hasn't had its whole cycle, the McCullum era. So to move midstream in something that is removed from the norm about what he's trying to do with that program would seem strange.
You say that, but Matthew Mott never got to fulfill his tenure either, and they just won a World Cup. Then they went away, lost a little bit, lost a World Cup, I think, flicked Motty on. He still had 2 years left in his contract, so he didn't get his full tenure either. So
Did he get a payout though?
yeah, I think he got paid, but
That's all right. It's not the worst thing.
You've
But
set
yeah,
a
you're right, it's
precedence
not
there
great
as
for
well.
him.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do. There's some big decisions. It's from the top down, and it's going to be some key decisions from the top that are going to dictate how this all moves forward.
It's a clear strategy. It's wondering if those people at the top are going to blink, Brad. If they're going to go, oh, this is a bit uncomfortable, actually. We can't cop this and just save ourselves.
Okay. Brendan McCullum now will have a plan. You got to remember he took over from Matthew Mott's team. So it was a short turnaround for the Champions Trophy. And now he'll have a clear plan on what they have to do to get to the next World Cup in 2027.
Who's the next captain?
Well, that's a really interesting one because Brooke did a really good job, but I'm not so sure whether he's ready to be the long-term captain. If I'm looking from the outside in, that there's something in me that sees Ben Stokes.
He's not in the team.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think he's going to want to do it. Personally, I don't know him at all either, so this is a very outsider's comment, but I don't think he wants to do it. I think he's got a real passion to lead that test team into a new era, and I don't think his body will allow him to play every format, especially leading into a World Cup. And if you want him in there, he's going to have to play a lot of one-day cricket before the World Cup to be if you are going to have him as captain. So I don't think he'll want to do that.
well, the way England have run their cricket is they put a high priority on these tournaments and the Ashes. If I'm looking from the outside in, get Ben Stokes through the Ashes, and then you got a World Cup, I just see there's some way with his relationship with Brendan McCullum, he could play, whether that just be as a batsman with his leadership. The other thing I would have a look at there is one of the most successful captains I had was Owen Morgan. And I think sometimes he can be a voice of reason. I wouldn't hesitate if I was England of finding some way to get him around that white ball group, because he got the best out of the group he had. So I would try to find some way to get him around the white ball group.
He's been very outspoken about the way that England are approaching things, so that could be quite...
Didn't he have a crack at Matthew Mott? He wasn't happy about what was going on there?
There's been a bit, so you'd have to mend maybe a few things before that unfolded. But
well, what do you have to mend? Because they've been knocked out of the last couple of tournaments, so things aren't...
Players get hurt. We hear these comments, Brad. We hear them.
Yeah,
people keep receipts, right?
Yeah,
we know
they
that.
do. They do keep, but sometimes with those receipts, if you're not going to change and something needs to change, and maybe that was a voice of reason. Maybe those comments, and I haven't seen all of those comments from Owen Morgan, but he was really good tactically. Yeah. He got the best out of a group, and it looked like the group played for him. So maybe Brendan McCullum looks, I know they're close mates, you sprinkle a bit of Owen Morgan into that group as well, but I'm going to hold off who I think will be captain. I think Brooke will get the go, but I think Ben Stokes will do the next big event.
So Ben Stokes turns 34 this English summer.
Yep.
And they've got India at home, huge series. Then another huge series, Australia.
Yep.
Then a T20 World Cup 2026. Then a 50-over World Cup 2027. The likelihood of Ben Stokes shining in all four of those is...
Not the 2020.
Won't get involved?
No.
50 over maybe.
I don't see him doing it.
Yeah.
It'd be great for the game if he does. He's an outstanding player, but don't reckon he'll do it.
You're probably right.
I think they'll invest in some youth and go Harry Brook. I've seen him lead, seen him do a really good job. Excuse me.
Well, they're going to have to look at who's going to take the red ball gig when Stokes eventually does
I think they're going to have to start investing in the future, and now's a good time to do it.
There you go. Drinks break. Back in a moment. Dean Jones Cup and the WNCL finals across the weekend. Let's start with the women, shall we? At Allan Border
Shall we? Yes.
Oval. New South Wales Breakers defeated Queensland by 21 runs after defending 215. At one stage, Queensland went coasting towards victory, but they were the more likely, with Georgia Redmayne, 97. Should have been a century. Get to it in a moment. But a fair way, found a way, New South Wales, because they needed wickets when Queensland were coasting at 2 down and heels.
We started praying.
We started praying? There was more to it than that.
I thought, first and foremost, what an amazing win for the Breakers. It's actually, it's been a really hard time for that group since, we won, we'd won 19 out of 21 titles in the WNCL as a New South Wales Breakers group. Then you lose a whole bunch of key players that have retired at the same time. All of a sudden, the Australian players aren't playing WNCL cricket anymore. We've had to really rebuild as a side, as a squad, and Gav Twining's been a huge part of that over the last little period. Obviously got the promotion to work with the Aussie side, but what he's been able to create and the environment, and I can watch it because I get to train alongside them a lot, and I can see what they've been trying to do, and for it to finally come off and get the win, lift that trophy again after what's been seemingly a lean period for New South Wales, even though everyone's got to rebuild at some point. I thought it was amazing, and the likes of Lauren Cheadle standing up when need be, stalwart of that side. I thought it was an amazing performance. A good game of cricket. Queensland were cruising. Probably were looking like they were going to win the game. Redmayne was on song. All I said at the start of the game was we need to get Redmayne and not out, and if we do that, we'll win the game. When Georgia Redmayne's on 97, looking like they're going to cruise it in, you're in strife. But I'm super proud of that group as a little ex-captain of the Breakers, and seeing what that group has gone through. I think it's a really impressive win.
So the Redmayne dismissal, if you've missed it, she's backing up, minding her own business. You could not have anticipated a more likely century if you tried. She was going to get 3 figures and maybe get Queensland home. Backing up a sharp caught and bowled, catches the end of a finger and it falls onto the stumps at right angle, like maybe 45 degrees. It wasn't like straight through the fingers on. It was a deflection, a ricochet.
Stiff.
Red mane. Next thing she knows, she's walking off wondering what the hell happened.
Yeah.
Is that the most unlucky way to get out in cricket? Or is there other ways?
Even as a passionate New South Welshman, I felt a little bit sorry for her. And, you know, George is from New South Wales as well, but obviously played all the cricket for Queensland, but that was stiff. It was very stiff. And she was doing all the right things, to be fair. We spoke about before, he laughed at the opening, like stay in your crease. You know, the batters are at the other end. You know you stay in your crease. You know, the likes of Elise Perry, Annabelle Sutherland hit the ball really hard back down the ground. You stay there because that ball is more likely to hit the stumps than anything else and you're going to be out.
No backups.
But she was doing the right thing. She was backing up, knew she needed to get back on strike to try and win the game. And, yeah, just unlucky.
What's the unluckiest one you've ever seen, Hads?
I've seen Andrew Simons whack one in a game at the SCG, an Australian game. Back hit Michael Clark in the pad and pop up to mid-on.
Yes.
See you later, Roy. But going back to this win, this win can change careers. And I know that's a big statement to say, but I had it in 2005-06 where we won the Shield with all our test players gone, a young group starting to create their own identity. And this sort of win can accelerate that process because they wouldn't be thinking about winning. Oh, they've got every excuse under the sun not to win this game. You got your captain out. You got the best players at IPL. So this moment here, don't underestimate and watch these girls now, what happens from here. They've got belief that they can win now without their test players. So it'll be a big change in their attitude of these girls moving forward.
You're right. The mindset has shifted and it used to always be, the Aussie players are back for these 4 games. Like, we'll bank our wins in those 4 games and then we'll hold on for the rest. That's completely flipped now. They go, we don't have them at any point. We need to get the job done. And I reckon that's been, like, the most impressive shift for me. Like, you don't need Australian players to win these tournaments. You've got the depth in your domestic system to do it. And I think that belief is now there that they can do it, which is cool.
Back to dismissals. What's your sickest one ever?
I just remember that one, whoever got run out of Adam Zampa's nose.
Peter Neville.
In BBL. That's just...
What was that in?
It's just ridiculous.
BBL, yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Or, probably one of the most unluckiest ones that I think I've seen while playing is, a bat digging into the ground before the crease and just getting run out. That sucks a bit,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We were having a look at one before we came on air with have you ever been done that way?
Which way?
Bat digs in ground?
No.
No slideys?
Especially not in a semi-final. It's just...
The Mark Wall
sad,
one he was lucky.
Well,
that would have been
out.
Unlucky, but it was out.
Well,
1998
the
against
ball
South
was
Africa.
dead.
The ball was dead.
Ball was not dead.
Ball's
Mate,
dead.
Junior was never out.
He was
Mate,
still...
his arm was dead. He couldn't feel his arm.
That's his problem. He should have hit it with his bat.
Mate, the ball was dead. Game over.
Hopefully get Junior in the next couple of months to explain that one and a few other things from cricket. And in with the blokes in the Dean Jones Cup, South Australia defeated Victoria by 64 runs to win the trophy named after Victorian great. But Thornton man of the match, 4 for 27. McAndrew more wickets, 3 for 47. Harry Nielsen 68. Liam Scott 54. Not. Let's get then to South Australia right now and catch up with the winning coach and see what state this man is in his new state, Ryan Harris. Yes, Ryan Harris joins us right now. South Australia probably still celebrating their first trophy lift in a long time, Ryan. We've spoken to you a couple of times in the last 12 months and especially when you took the job. In your wildest dreams, did you ever think you'd be 1 for 1 in terms of competitions played as your head coach role kind of cements itself?
Yeah, nice to talk to you again. Look, probably not, being totally honest. I mean, I thought we'd be close. We've got a squad that's obviously good enough, but I'd probably, start of the year, you'd probably say the right things. You'd probably say, no, we're going to be winning trophies, but until it actually happens, you've got to sort of prove my worth and all that sort of stuff. But I think it's just great. It's just a great feeling. It's a nice feeling. We've got one. We've obviously got another big one that we're in the mix for as well, which is important. But to be one from one's it's pretty good. It's a pretty good feeling.
Right. Obviously, it's a special day winning the flag, but a lot of I'll take it back a bit to your pre-season. What was the main message you wanted to give this group? Was it all about playing finals or about taken South Australia into new standards the way you wanted to play?
Yeah, it was exactly that, Hads. It was about standards, and you know me better than anyone. Like when we play or when we train, probably more when we train, it's all about getting better and setting high standards, which obviously you take onto the field. And that was one of the biggest things that I'd only been around this squad obviously for a year, but just noticing a bit last year that when guys come to training, sometimes they were sort of cruising through training and not necessarily looking to get better. And that was the main message. I've said it in the last couple of weeks, that if guys were coming to train, I felt they were cruising and they were, weren't necessarily looking to get better or something wasn't quite going right, then I'd send them home. Basically, not that I had to do that to anyone, because when they turn up, they're ready to go. So that training standard, the intensity of training, which as you know, when I used to train, we used to play together. There was a high quality, and that makes a difference, and you take that onto the ground. So that, and another couple of things that I just thought we needed just to scrub up on. I think playing under pressure was one that we weren't great at. I've observed that from being outside the squad as well, the group as well, the last couple of years, that when we'd lose one wicket, we'd lose 4 quick ones, or when the pressure was on, that we weren't great. So we did a lot of that stuff as well. And the other part of it as well is just mentioning it, talking about it. Sometimes that losing wickets, we sat down as a staff, and at first it was like, we can't mention it because then they'll think about it. It's like, well, they're losing wickets in clubs anyway, so we might as well talk about it and try and stop it. And the other part was winning. We're allowed to talk about winning because that's ultimately what you want to do. So we had those conversations as well. I think everyone sort of bought into that as well.
Right, you also look like you got a good mix in your squad of guys that are just on the cusp of making a real name for himself, not only at state cricket but international cricket. You had young McSweeney. He got a bit of a taste with the Australian team. How did you deal with him when he came back?
Yeah, to be honest, we haven't done anything really different to what we were doing before. Like, I was in touch with him through that whole period of being selected and while he was playing. The hardest part, which he found unfortunately a bit too soon, being dropped, he was devastated about that, and he felt as though he was going good. I actually said, speaking to him a lot, he felt his game was in a good spot. He just was facing a pretty good bowler that he learnt pretty quickly that he doesn't give you a ball to hit. So, and I said to him after hearing all that, it's not often you get dropped feeling good. Normally you're horribly out of form when you get dropped from the Australian team. So for him to come back into our setup, he's been great. He hasn't been any different. He's a calming sort of influence on the group. He's a good captain. He's a young captain. He's a good captain. He communicates very well and he's very popular amongst our squad. So, he's come back. The learnings he's had in that sort of short period of time is huge as well. He's spoken a lot about that. But, he's obviously, he'd probably like a few more runs that he's had in the last couple of hits that he's had. But, him back in our squad is just huge for us. And obviously, we played well while he was away, so it gives him another opportunity to obviously captain a winning final on Saturday, but then be in the mix for the Shield as well.
On a similar note, you look at some of the players that you've unearthed a little bit, in a sense. I mean, you look at Henry Thornton won the Michael Bevan medal as player of the final, Liam Scott, player of the tournament. Thinking about like Nathan McAndrew, you seem to have been able to get the best out of him. What's your secret to getting these guys who have taken a punt and moved states to try and get opportunity, but now they're dominating domestic cricket? So is there some sort of secret sauce that you've got to go, what, we're going to make these guys feel comfortable and they're performing?
Oh, I think there's no real secret to it. It's obviously those guys have been here now for a couple of years, so it's probably more just making sure that I think, for me, it's just creating a good vibe and good feeling around the squad and allow them to obviously challenge them. And like I just said before, go and train hard and challenge them, and then you go out and play. Playing should be easy. And I think, they do it pretty well. Now they've played, all of them have played a fair bit of cricket, so they've got some experience under their belt. And the other part, I guess, is maybe just making sure they give them clarity around their roles and what they're doing in the team. But you speak a couple there, McAndrew, and McAndrew's been great. He's just always turns up. He's the ultimate professional. His nickname's Trigger. He triggers everything. He rolls. He triggers. sits on balls. He's stretching every second of the day. I don't know if you probably wouldn't see it when you're not watching the game live. He's always, even when he's been moved in the field, he finishes his stretches before he moves his position in the field. He's just the ultimate professional. So, he's been awesome. I think Thornton's another one who I've known Henry now for a while. Henry's, those who don't know, he's pretty confident in himself. Old Henry, he doesn't mind telling you he's going all right, which is a great trait of his. But he hadn't played red ball cricket coming into this season, and I sat him down at the start of last year and spoke to him about different standards and sometimes the way he trains is, sort of in third gear. And so I challenged him around that, and he stepped up. He's played 2 games of Shield cricket now. He's going to be around the mix, and for us finishing the year, and so getting the best out of them. That's obviously not just me, but it's just trying to create that environment and give them the confidence and belief. I guess it's the whole thing. It's the whole squad as well. It's trying to give them belief that they're good enough and to play to their ability. And as I've said to them a number of times, if they play to their ability, we're going to be hard to beat.
There was a great quote out of Henry Thornton's mouth I heard over the physio table at Cricket New South Wales that when he was rehabbing was, "This will all be worth it when I'm charging in on Boxing Day."
Fair
So
enough.
you're right, not short of confidence, but I mean that's half.
That's Henry Thornton to a T, that one.
That's half the battle. So he's halfway there. Just get the rest right.
Visualisation is a key to any professional athlete these days.
Exactly.
Rhino, one of the most surprising things about this chat so far is that Haddin had 2 questions and not one of them was about a celebration kind of thing.
Coming.
I'm going to jump in now and say, so have you, this is the test of how entrenched you have become in South Australia. Was the celebration in any way thinking of a gold Forex in your hand as opposed to one of those red tins that you drink down there now, the sponsor that's on your chest there? Did you get involved, and your players, I mean, how many of them need to freshen up before the Shield match this week?
Yeah, that's the big drama now, is trying to get them fresh for next week. I definitely had a few gold ones and red ones, which was nice, thanks to the sponsors of West End. We've had a good time. It's a huge thing. 13 years it's been since we won a trophy. Definitely enjoyed it. On Saturday night, we had everyone together, the families together, and it was great. We had a good long day yesterday at long lunch yesterday. So the boys are in about 15 minutes actually. So we're going to go down and see how they're all going. They've all had a decent crack at it, trying to recover and trying to get some water into them and some hydrolyte and all that sort of stuff. But the big thing now is we've got to make sure that we're freshen up, and we go again on Thursday, which is only a couple of days away. So, and there's still a bit to play for in the Shield as well. We still need to win a game to potentially make it. Also, try and have another home final, which would be fantastic. So, they all know that though. The good thing is now I think they've had the taste of this and how good it is, and there were already conversations yesterday saying if we win the Shield, it's imagine that feeling. So, no doubt we've enjoyed it, but time to focus and look forward to Thursday.
Well, Rhino, I just want to take you back to when we played, and we'd have a great series win or even just a normal one-day win. And Darren Lehman used to look over in the corner and just go, is Harris, Siddle, Johnson and Haddin sitting together? And he'd just look at us as coach and say, behave yourself. Who did you look over in the change room? At the end of that game, everyone's celebrating. You had a couple of beers. The families have just left. Who were the 3 players you looked at? And I said, I hope I don't get a phone call at 3 a.m.
Yeah. So one
Harry
of them was
Nielsen?
Lehman Jr.
Yeah.
Good boy, Harry.
Lehman Jr. Yeah, and
Breeding.
The sons of. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The sons of the loose guys. The other one was Harry Conway. He didn't play, but he had the whole squad there. He was still going yesterday. Put it that way. He was going good yesterday. So he was the other one that I was a little bit concerned about. But the good old days. There's no doubt that we definitely did celebrate hard Hads, and as you say, you got to, don't you? Because they're hard to win. You got to make sure you enjoy it.
Did you make sure your players stayed off social media and didn't send any text messages like from Burswood Casino or McDonald's or anything like that?
Yeah. I might have shared my experiences sometime with them. I'm still right about that, by the way. I
agree. Yeah, I agree.
Can you let us in on
private
what's happening
joking.
here? We're all
Rhino can let it's his story to tell.
it might have been after an Ashes series win in Perth. We were at the casino thanks to the late great Shane Warne, who put us up in his villa in Perth in the casino grounds. And all I tried to do is we'd had a few, no doubt. We tried to get into just to play a little bit of blackjack, and they wouldn't let me in because apparently I was too intoxicated. And I might have let my feelings be known on social media a bit later on, which blew up, obviously. I got a phone call from my wife after about 30 minutes sleep as I was about to fly back to Melbourne, and she went off at me. I said, "Don't worry, sweetheart, we've just won the Ashes, so don't worry, it'll blow over."
Yep.
So,
you remember the Ashes series more than the confrontation with the security at Crown Casino there.
I got the same. Yeah, they did.
That's nice.
I got the same phone call from my wife.
Yeah.
Because she said, "I've just read Rhino's message.
Yeah.
Where were you?"
Yeah, right. And holding his hand.
Yeah.
And I remember saying, well, the bouncer asked me, he said, "You've had too much." And I said, "No shit." And he just looked at me and went, "Oh, your next thing, I'll go in."
Oh, dear. Hey, Ryan, just before we let you go, you mentioned the Shield final. Back to some serious matters. Where are you going to play it? Have you got permission from the AFL if you do host?
Yeah, so that's the plan. I'm hoping that they'll give us permission to play at Adelaide Oval. It's going to be a huge exercise, obviously, but the groundsman here, Damien Hoff's obviously very confident he can do it. That was funny because I found out about 3 or 4 weeks ago about that, and it was all supposed to be quite quiet just to make sure we go through all the right processes, but it's since blown up that obviously we're keen to play at Adelaide Oval. So I think, I'm not sure where it's at. I saw a news article this morning on it. As I said, Hoffy's 100% confident he can get the wickets in, get it out in a matter of a week in between football games. The grass might be a little bit longer. That's okay. We'd prefer to play at Adelaide Oval if we can, but we'll have to see. Excuse me. I think even the Premier of South Australia's been brought in on it. So if he's in on it, we're a big chance because Peter Malinauskas doesn't mind his sport down here, which is great. So we'll see how that goes. But ideally, we play at Adelaide Oval. Ideally, we make the final first. Let's get that way.
Yeah.
You're in.
Get it sorted, Premier. But, yeah, good luck this week in Melbourne, mate, against Victoria. They'll be looking for revenge, given what happened in the Dean Jones Cup. But, best of luck in the next couple in the Shield. And, thanks for joining us once again. Very much a friend of the show, Ryan Harris.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, we got onto the topic there with Rhino about celebrations. Sure, I mean, where do we start with this one? Where do we start and end with good celebration stories?
With Rhino.
No.
They start with Rhino and they end. But I'm so happy for him. He's one of the great guys of Australian cricket. He's one of my best mates. But he was brought into a South Australian team, and he said it, that they're rebuilding. He had to change their attitude. So they'll be in the final of the Shield. They got the opportunity to do the double, but he deserves all the success.
The Willow Talk Celebration Hall of Fame. We're opening it up for nominations here, and I want your first 3 people that come into your brain about who are the greatest celebrators of all time.
Molly Strano, number 1.
Oh, very adamant. Why?
Post T20 World Cup in 2020 where Katy Perry performed so beautifully. By the time we got back into the change room after Katy Perry's concert, Molly Strano was already wearing a pair of white boots from one of her backup dancers and proceeded to wear them for the next few days. And I think they now sit pride of place in her dad's house in Melbourne. So by far number 1.
Number 1 seed.
Number 1 seed.
Okay, what do you think of 2 and 3, Hads?
Ryan Harris.
Yep.
Because he was injured a lot and he wasn't allowed to drink. And as soon as the end of the game, you could just see the physio beeline for him. And as soon as he turned his back, Rhino changed. And he was always with us at the end.
Okay. Yeah. 2 others?
Well, the actually number 1 seed is the whole Australian cricket team when you win a World Cup event or an Ashes. I actually can't go from 1 to 11 or 15, whatever the squad is, because I could make a story for everyone.
Okay. And that's an episode in itself, I do believe.
That would be
we should just do a celebrations episode.
Okay. You've got 2 others?
Well, Sophie Molyneux's high up there as well, and you could
Where are you?
see. Oh, I'm like probably 3.
That's 3 too
Legend
high.
status, not Hall of Fame? What do you reckon?
No, I'm Hall of Fame. I'm just too modest. Sophie Molyneux is good fun as well because you're never quite sure where you're going to end up, but probably my number 3, who might bump up to number 1, Darcy Brown.
Yeah.
elite. That Burswood story happened to the very own Darcy Brown maybe last week. So she's up there with Ryan Harris from all reports. Just didn't brag about it on social media.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you a couple who go under the radar, celebrated as well as anyone in the 2015 World Cup, was our bench players. One's a national selector, one's a national captain.
George Bailey, Pat Cummins.
And that's all I really need to say. But mate, they were real good.
So those two.
And I don't think they even needed the final to be that good. They were very, very good.
Okay. They
Who was
enjoyed the
with them?
tour. There was one other with them.
Yeah.
Faulkner.
No, he was playing.
Oh.
Doherty.
Oh, right. Sorry, I
Xavier
thought you meant
Doherty.
celebrating. Yeah.
So we had to be really careful on getting them to run the drinks out in the final.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. They enjoyed the night before, did they?
I don't know. But they were very good. The whole tour.
Let's get to Sundries. Today.
It was Xavier Doherty. I do remember that.
Yeah?
Yeah. I had a few drinks
you with
him.
them?
Oh, yeah, I had a few drinks with them in Brisbane and in Auckland. So, yes, it was Xavier
Melbourne.
Doherty. Yep.
Yeah.
There was a set 11 and there
Yeah.
was 4 extras. Fair enough.
Mate, George Bailey was... Mate, he went for the most important player in... So he played the first 3 games.
Because of Clark's hamstring.
Yeah, as captain.
Yeah.
So then after that, Clark came back and he didn't play in the team. But
So he's gone from leader,
Yeah.
captain, idol, to drinks,
no,
do what you want.
He was a better leader then.
Yeah. He was doing all the right things. Yeah.
Yeah,
As 12.
he's one of the best.
Okay, we'll get George on then when he gets a moment's rest from selecting Australian cricket sides when he gets back from Pakistan. Sundries now, as we sit here too, it's 3 years since the passing of Shane Warne, March 4, 2022. Shock to all of us. I think anyone who noticed the news that morning, it took maybe hours or maybe a few days to comprehend that Shane was no longer with us, but just a shout out to everyone involved in the foundation about publicising it, getting the word out there. You guys both at the MCG test there, it seems like it's evolving into something that's at the SCG test with the McGrath Pink test, that the ability to take what is such a tragic story and help change people's lives for the better out of it. I think it's only going to get better, but may he rest in peace, the great Shane Keith Warne.
Walking around the MCG in particular, I just was heading into maybe the media entrance and I was like, what is this queue? Like, are these guys queuing for the jam donuts? Because they're that good outside, by the way. But it's like, where are all these people queuing for? They were queuing for
the heart evaluations.
to sign up or whatever it might be to get their hearts checked there at the MCG, which I thought's amazing. And it's just to see that. It's been really cool. Something good come out of something.
Got yours done, Hads?
Yeah, we've got mine done. Well, Warnie's legacy is there every day in the commentary box. He's mentioned every day. There's stories floating around all the time about the King, but his legacy he'll leave there. But what he's doing with the foundation, is just second to none. And congratulations.
Ricky Ponting was a walking highlight reel at the New Zealand Open Pro-Am over the weekend. He sunk a 40-foot putt. I will say, though, with a broomstick putter. Just putting it out there.
Head noise.
But it's Ricky Ponting. We can't... can you have a word to him at the IPL, by the way, about how it's come to this?
All I know is they're
Broomstick?
all bringing their clubs.
Yeah.
I'm not playing with them.
No.
I'm embarrassed.
No.
They're too good. You get too nervous when you're about to take your tee shot that you're going to top it.
Well,
he did judged.
He did do that. He like a 250-metre par 4, he ripped one onto the green to about 2 foot and sunk the putt with his broomstick putter. So Ricky Ponting, a very talented golfer, he is.
I won't be playing with him.
He's quite often said, when I speak to a lot of the pro golfers, they said he's the best like non-professional
Sportsman.
Golfer that's played sport for Australia. That's the best they've seen. And he still wouldn't make money on tour. That's what they reckon. Like that's how good the professional golfers are, that even someone like Ricky Ponting, who's as good as what he is, they'd be like, he'd still struggle on tour to try and make $1.
The pro who won that's an incredible story.
Great story.
Sorry, this is the golf podcast again. Sorry to veer off, but it's a life story about a guy who got put in jail after being involved in an outlaw motorcycle gang as a 21-year-old, talented junior golfer, went off the rails, went to jail, came out, got mentored by Min Woo and Min Ji Lee's coach over there in WA. Next thing he knows, he's well, not next thing he knows, about 10 years later, he's winning a New Zealand Open.
Well, he couldn't get into the country either, obviously because of his past. He couldn't get in, but gets a crack at the Open as well, gets a start there. So he's going to have to start getting his visa organised now.
Exactly. Aussie update, WPL. Aussies dominating full stop. There's a lot of them over there.
Yeah.
It's no real surprise. Jess Jonathan starring the last few games, bat and ball as well, 61 not, 3 for 25. Meg Lanning, Ash Gardner, Phoebe Litchfield scoring a few runs as well, Heels.
Yep. Yeah, Jono's been probably it's not a surprise, I shouldn't say that, but has got given the nod up the order a little bit for Delhi and is making runs, taking wickets as she always does. It's been awesome, but everyone contributing, which is good, and obviously it's been a hectic summer for everyone, even the Poms included. So to see Nat Sivabrunt still churning them out, quite impressive. But Delhi at the top at the moment, UP Warriors third, but UP play Gujarat tonight as we sit here, and that'll be basically battle for third spot. The table's really tight. We spoke about that earlier. I said this is Delhi's chance to win it. They've got the squad to do it, and all reports, everything's going to blow up after this year, and a couple more teams come in. The men's auction, they rip the teams apart. A couple of retentions, so I think this is Delhi's best chance at doing it. I'd love to see UP win though. That'd be nice, but I think Delhi should get the job done.
Now, a reminder, we'll be back later in the week to review Australia-India at the Champions Trophy. And then I think it's the last one with Hads in the studio before you take off and become Captain IPL with Ricky.
Yep.
Looking forward to it?
I am looking forward to it, actually. I'll miss you, though.
No, you won't.
It was hard last week when I was sick.
You're the ultimate fill-up over there. What are you going to miss us about?
That's Willow Talk.
Coaching, organising, scheming to win. It's all your favourite things all in one place. Dharmashala, beautiful fresh air up there.
Oh, it's not fresh up there.
Well, it depends where you go. Depends your definition of fresh, Bradley.
It's not fresh there.
Thank you both. See you later in the week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Have a good week, everyone. And a reminder to find the survey link in the episode notes. Fill it out. Tell us what you think. Go on the chance to win a Willow Talk trucker hat and the Grey Nick scoop. Catch you later in the week. Yeah, thanks for watching the Willow Talk podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't have to miss an episode wherever you are. And while you're at it, check out these videos up here. They're mostly good.